Lucid Method Part 2, the quintessence of Richard Feynman's ideas. The model of teaching in which the teacher is the central figure for the transmission of information, which often require long lectures in the form of one-way movement, teacher-student, is acceptable for some discipline of higher education and the audience with a large group of students. This model is the most suitable for subjects such as history that require memorization. In subjects where the question of knowledge, mathematics, physics, is put at the forefront, the Lucid Method that embodies the ideas of Nobel Prize winner Richard Feynman will be more effective. Yes, that Richard, whose Feynman lectures on physics are still considered some of the best. Feynman insisted that learning is not memorizing facts and figures. It's the primarily understanding and logical thinking. Feynman's method of learning is considered to be an active form of learning, and the Lucid Method, based on it, embodies Feynman's ideas in everyday practice. Edgar Dale of learning was the prototype for creating the Lucid Method of learning. The Lucid Method sees the student as a central figure, and the process of learning, from the concept to its practical use, is achieved by the students using a variety of forms of activities. After all, critical and logical thinking is self-learning, self-discipline, self-control, and the ability to learn from mistakes. The Lucid Method provides continuous learning starting from logical path of entire unit to practice problem in order to check outcome. A unit is similar to an objective in a textbook. It's logically complete thoughts designed to be carried out within 5 minutes. If learner follows the sequences shown in the column, he is an active learner about 95% of time. How does it work? Complete learning of unit is combined in one cycle. The graduate process of learning has several steps. The method directs students to follow these steps and they proceed through the unit. Here are the steps for unit percent. First slide, the logical path or overview of the whole unit. Second slide, the learner has to focus for up to 5 minutes on the slide in order to integrate the images with their narrative by going back and forth using the arrow keys to synchronize them. The learner may pause the slides if more time is needed to understand. The verbal audio part of presentation doesn't specify when the student should click to advance the presentation. Rather, it's a student's responsibility to figure that out from the context. Third slide has no audio and no word explanations, so the learner must go over entire slide by reproducing the narrative part in their minds or whispering to ensure he understands the logic of the unit. Fourth slide, the learner has to take notes, solve problems, work on workshops, projects, and activities to confirm that his approach is logical and he is able to apply the necessary skill. Now, practical approach. Our logical path for unit percentage, we will start from the definition of 1%. Then we will move to the situation where we will have more than 1%. After that, we will look into options how we can show percentages using different notations. And then, finally, we will talk how to convert one form into another. Modeling. As you know, $1 is worth 100 pennies, 100 cents. If we divided $1 by 100, we get 1 penny. Value of 1 penny we can show as a fraction, ratio, 1 over 100, or as a decimal, 1/100th, or as a 1% of $1. From this modeling, you can see that 1% means 1 part per 100. Percent symbol represents a denominator of 100. Thus,
This is the most challenging part. Learner has to be in full alert in order to synchronize verbal and video parts. This is why this type of actions are ensured in time up to 5 minutes.
We have to be more specific. We have to identify percent of what. Look, 1% of $1 is 1 penny, but 1% of $500 is $5. Big difference. Let me remind you, right-click on the mouse can pause your presentation, left to resume. Now, real-life situation in the store. You have quarter, dime, and penny. You can add, and total value is 36 cents. You know that a quarter is worth 25 pennies, and dime is worth 10 pennies. So, we can show their total value using equivalent 3 types of notation: fractions, decimal, and percent. All of this possible because the word percent means parts per 100, thus 25% equals 25 over 100 or 25 hundredths in decimal. 10% equals 10 over 100 or 10 hundredths in decimal. Now we can say fractional notation is if you see the fraction bar and 100 as a denominator. Decimal notation if you see decimal point or if you can rewrite number having decimal point. Percent notation if you see the symbol percent. Now we are ready to practice. Problem number 1. Change 67% notation to a fractional and decimal notations. First, let's convert to a fraction. Just replace the percent symbol by a denominator of 1. Next conversion is to decimal. Show the numerator and move decimal point 2 places to the left. Problem number 2. Change fractional notation 35 over 100 to a decimal and percent notations. Okay, first let's convert to a decimal. Show the numerator and move decimal point 2 places to the left. Next conversion is to percent. Just move the decimal point 2 places to the right and add the percent sign. Problem number 3. Change fraction 3 over 5 to a decimal and percent notations. First, in this case, the denominator is not 100, but we know that a fraction bar is a division, so 3 divided by 5 is 60 hundredths. As a result, we have the decimal notation. Next conversion is to percent. Just move the decimal point 2 places to the right and add the symbol percent. Now I mimic the action of the student. Gently tap forward key. You're going over the entire slide while reproducing the verbal audio part in your minds or whispering to yourself, to be sure that you understand all logical steps and connections between them.
Okay, if $1 divided by 100, we got 1 penny. We divided $1 by 100. Penny's value is 1 over 100 because we divided by 100, or 1/100th because it's decimal, or we would call this 1% of $1. And what is important, percent of what? Because percent of $1 is 1 penny, and percent of $500 is $5. Sure, it's a big difference. Now, if we have quarter, dime, and penny, it will be 36 cents. We can show this as fractions because 25/100. This would be quarter. 10/100 dime. 1/100 is penny. In decimals, and now here is percent. So we added, and now we have 36% of $1.
This is how karaoke works. Final fourth step. Students supposed to take notes and solve problems and check the answer. Number of problems can be added, and solutions of the problems will show how good students understand materials, because self-testing show that if you miss more than 30% of problems, you have to start working on this unit from the beginning. If you miss 30 or less, then question what was wrong, identify your mistake, and correct the missing problems. Conclusion. You can talk about the effectiveness of the Lucid Method for as long as you like, but the best proof is to test this method on yourself. Unfortunately, the YouTube.com format can't use the presentation as a PowerPoint without pre-translation in the video. So log on to the web page Teacher Pay Teacher, Larissa Shatalova, where you will find ready-to-use materials. Try it, and you will be able to see that the effectiveness of the method. In addition, the materials allow you to easily transform any element of the course. You can change the visual parts and audio or audio. After trying, you will tell me why it's a very effective course that does not require the teachers time to prepare and reduces the level of stress in the audience to a minimum.